Known for being the person who planted the roots of Western philosophy in ancient Athens, Socrates is widely regarded as one of the most significant thinkers and philosophers in the history of the world. The committed pupil Plato was able to retain his teachings and views, despite the fact that he did not leave any writings behind. A fundamental tenet of Socrates' teachings was the conviction that a life that is devoid of inquiry is not one that is worth living. Instead than asserting that he was wise, Socrates emphasized the significance of seeking the truth by questioning, evaluating, and gaining an understanding of the deeply held assumptions and ideas that we have. In spite of the passage of time, the concepts and quotations that are credited to Socrates continue to motivate individuals to lead lives that are conscious and thoughtfully considered. The timeless words he spoke encourage us to engage in more in-depth contemplation and to acquire wisdom, not by amassing knowledge, but rather by acknowledging the extent to which we have not yet fully comprehended. Through the simple act of prompting folks to examine and reason through situations, Socrates encouraged people to move beyond blindly following trends or living in a reactive manner. His quotations encapsulate important concepts that are still applicable today as they pertain to living a philosophical life, thinking freely, and avoiding making assumptions. Taking a look at the wisdom of Socrates today. Despite the fact that they are separated by millennia, one can use the timeless statements of Socrates to assist one through the most difficult challenges that life presents in the modern day. What are some ways in which the idealism of an ancient Greek philosopher can be applied to the modern world? It will be demonstrated through a number of quotations and illustrations that the wisdom that is contained inside Socrates' teachings is applicable to all time periods and cultures. Regardless of the circumstances or the advancements in technology, the fundamental challenges that humans face are the same ageless problems that have absorbed thinkers such as Socrates. These challenges include figuring out how to evaluate their own lives, how to relate to others in their communities, and how to acquire some understanding of virtue and truth in the world. A life that is not examined is not a life worth living. It is possible that this is the most well-known remark attributed to Socrates, as it encapsulates the philosopher's fundamental conviction in the need of introspection. What does it mean to lead a life that is devoid of scrutiny? A person who is floating through life without conscious thought, never questioning their values or direction, is said to be drifting. In his teachings, Socrates urged his followers to avoid becoming complacent in their worldviews and ideas. To live an unexamined life is to assume that one already possesses all of the information and truth, and to avoid being exposed to new points of view or arguments that are contrary to one's own. The ability to develop is hindered as a result. Despite the passage of time, the wisdom contained within this brief quotation is still extremely relevant. For instance, in this day and age of the internet, it has never been simpler to become caught up in echo chambers that serve to support our perspectives that we already hold. However, in order to achieve greater integrity, we must first avoid making assumptions and then consciously investigate the reasons behind our beliefs. James Lindsay, a philosopher, is a fascinating modern case study because he questioned his progressive ideology after understanding how much of it was based on assumptions that had not been proven. Through in-depth inquiry and analysis of his own woke belief system, he was able to completely transform his worldview and alter the trajectory of his professional life. I am unable to impart any knowledge to anyone. I can only get them to think about it. The method that Socrates employs is characterized by the use of inquisitive questions to inspire critical thinking, as opposed to the direct transmission of information. The essence of this quotation is very applicable to the issues that are currently being faced about the dissemination of false information and indoctrination. There are some difficulties that cannot be completely addressed by fact-checking and censorship, such as conspiracy theories or extreme messaging. In the same way that Socrates would engage in dialectics in order to force people to examine unreasonable arguments for themselves, we need to place a greater focus on education that teaches critical thinking and media literacy. It is possible to establish sustainable growth by instructing folks not on what they should think, but on how to reason through arguments and assess the evidence for themselves. It has been demonstrated through case studies that general logic and reasoning workshops have the potential to immunize individuals against ideological brainwashing or manipulation over an extended period of time. The methods of analysis that Socrates treasured continue to be quite important now. Be kind, because everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle, he once said. One of the most profound forms of empathy is expressed in this remark. This serves as a reminder that we should not rush to judgments about other people when we do not completely comprehend the challenges or circumstances they are facing. Many times, behaviors are influenced by past grievances more than what is revealed by superficial perceptions. It is possible for even the most haughty or impolite individual to experience a great deal of interior conflict and pain. According to Socrates, kindness is the best way to lead. Putting this theory into practice could be of immense help to the public debate of today, which many times appears to be irreparably divided. In the present moment, we can feel justified in insulting individuals who disagree with us, or belittling those who have political beliefs that are contrary to our own. On the other hand, radicalized worldviews are frequently the result of complicated psychological causes such as personal trauma or perceived threats behind them. It is possible to de-escalate confrontations by focusing on the human perspective rather than reacting to the ideology. The importance of highlighting shared struggles is shown to build mutual understanding, as demonstrated by case studies of friendships between individuals who are strongly politically opposed to one another. Listening to the suffering of others can frequently dispel feelings of animosity. Remembering the fundamental humanity of all people, as Socrates recommended in his philosophical writings, develops more patience and kindness, even in situations when there is no direct contact. Applications in the real world. In spite of the fact that some people consider old philosophies to be esoteric and abstract, examining the timeless words of Socrates demonstrates that these ideas have a specific application to contemporary problems, whether it be managing polarization, gaining media literacy, or answering life's essential concerns. By encouraging a more in-depth exploration of principles that many people take for granted, like as justice or truth, Socrates' teachings encourage us to live our lives with a greater degree of consciousness. On an individual level, more virtue can be generated by putting Socratic concepts into practice in areas such as actively engaging opposing views, examining your own beliefs, and leading with empathy toward other people. The most important factor in the progression of society is the willingness of individuals to think and conduct their lives independently. Final thoughts. As a result of his advocacy for living a life that is investigated and consciously guided, rather than one that is reactively following assumptions or norms, Socrates left behind an invaluable intellectual legacy. Through his use of Socratic questioning, he encouraged individuals to use their own reasoning to arrive at the truth. The quotations that we investigated provide light on how we might live more mindfully, regardless of the circumstances or the changes in technology, by standing on the eternal wisdom that has been accumulated over the course of generations. Through the use of his quotations, Socrates continues to serve as a touchstone for analyzing life in all ages, making him more than just an ancient historical person. The wisdom of Socrates compels us to cultivate a more profound awareness, to engage in critical thinking, and to infuse compassion into our beliefs and actions, regardless of whether we are living in Athens in the 5th century BC or navigating the age of information 2,500 years later. Particularly due to the fact that the investigated life that he advocated for is demonstrated to be perpetually worth living, his impact extends beyond death. At last, we would share one of the best quotes of Socrates: "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Share your favorite quote of Socrates in the comments section below, and subscribe to our channel for more. See you in the next video.